Hi, I'm Gloria Keith with Action Speaks, here to share more of the history of gifted education in America, particularly dealing with Black America. But we will give you a continuing until the end of the timeline that was written and researched and placed, as well as published in A Nation Deceived. Let me turn my music down, okay? Give me just a moment. Okay, we're back. As I was saying before, I'm giving you history of gifted education in America through and by way of the book and 2-volume research and study titled A Nation Deceived: How Children how schools hold back America's brightest students. And this book is written by 3 different artists or authors: Nicholas Colangelo, Susan G. Assouline, Miraca U. Gross. And the publication date was October 1st, 2004. And I believe we are headed down the timeline. This is a timeline that was written within the book. And it's a timeline of key dates in gifted and talented history or education. I have been interjecting some of my own history as a gifted and talented parent of 3 gifted and talented bona fide students. During the time between 1971 and through the ending date of this timeline, 2004, I will interject some of my own history, or our own history, that was not captured or included in the study A Nation Deceived. We are at 1975 in the history as found in A Nation Deceived. I'll just give you a little bit of an oral timeline that was not included. And as I said before, between 1971 and even up to present, I have not seen an appropriate inclusion of gifted and talented blacks in America, but I will provide you with that. Now, I'm not sure as to the best way to do this, but as it comes to me, I will do this. But of course, remember, you can get precise historical moments and events, as well as occasions that occurred in our own history between 1952 through now. I shall continue to read to you the written history as in A Nation Deceived. 1975, Public Law 94-142, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act. This act establishes a federal mandate to serve children with special needs, but does not include children with gifts and talents. This is something I remember fighting for the gifted and talented children to be included in this law, Law 94-142. But according to the research and study 2004 titled A Nation Deceived, they went on to say, but does not include children with gifts and talents. Okay, so there became the fight. Between 1975 and 1983, as parents, as gifted parents of gifted children, we tried, as you can see, this is very distressful for me. So, but I want to tell you that we tried without any rock unturned to include in America's education for gifted and talented. We tried to include blacks. As a matter of fact, I do want to note that during that time, between 1975 and 1983, we had legal representation that helped us to find more information on what America's Department of Education had to offer gifted children. And of course, there was a letter returned, a letter of response from the Massachusetts Law Center of Law and Education, who stated that before us there was no black parent who had tried legally to fight for black gifted and talented students. I'm trying to give you the actual history without elaborating, as we have in our book, Every Child Born Gifted. So, as we move on through the timeline that's included in A Nation Deceived, 1993, A Nation at Risk reports scores of America's brightest students and their failure to compete with international counterparts. The report includes policies and practices in gifted education, raising academic standards and promoting appropriate curriculum for gifted learners. As a gifted parent of gifted children, we found that the curriculum was not appropriate, or that we had a more appropriate curriculum for our children to learn, to do excellence learning. And of course we were fought on that, because one of the reasons is the programs for gifted education still today are not acceptable to black Americans being gifted. It appears that those that are involved in the think tanks wish not to be associated with the black gifted and talented in black America. And again, we will share more of that information and substantiate the statements that I've made to you with facts. 1988, again in A Nation Deceived, the timeline, key dates of gifted and talented education. 1988, Congress passes the Jacob Javits Gifted and Talented Students Education Act as part of the reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Again, I have not found where there was an appropriate number of Black Americans included in this study and who benefited from this act, the Jacob Javits Gifted and Talented Students Education Act. 1999, as we move on, National Research Centers on the Gifted and Talented are established at the University of Connecticut, University of Virginia, Yale University, and Northwestern University. It was in Hampton, Virginia, is where we initiated study and research on finding what America's Department of Education had to offer our own gifted and talented children. And it was there where we became pioneers for Black Americans in gifted and talented education. (1993) National Excellence. The case for developing America's talent, issued by the United States Department of Education, outlining how America neglects its most talented youth. The report also makes a number of recommendations influencing the last decade of research in the field of gifted education. Perhaps there were some Black Americans who were considered and included in this study and research, but still not the appropriate number for America. 1998, as in A Nation Deceived, the NACG, or NAGC, which is the National Organization Gifted Center, publishes pre-K grade 12 gifted program standards to provide guidance in 7 key areas for programs serving gifted and talented students. The standards were revised in 2010 at pre-K grade 12 gifted programming standards. 2002, the No Child Left Behind Act, the NCLB, is passed as the reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. The Javits program is included in NCLB and expanded to offer competitive statewide grants. The definition of gifted and talented students is modified again. I believe the definition for gifted and talented will continue to be modified until we get it right. Students, children, or youth who give evidence of high achievement capability in areas such as intellectual, creative, artistic, or leadership capabilities or capacity or in specific academic fields and who need services and activities not ordinarily provided by the school in order to fully develop their capabilities. Interesting. That is the notation on the key date 2002. 2004, A Nation Deceived, of course, which is the book that we are reading this history from. How Schools Hold Back America's Brightest Students, a national research-based report on acceleration strategies for advanced learners, and is published by the Beelen Blake Center at the University of Iowa. All right, there you have it, the documented history. And again, I want to encourage you to look for my book, Every Child Born Gifted, and you will find actual history, historical moments, as well as a good story of how Black America entered the Department of Education as gifted. Thank you. And let me not forget, and talented, of course. Thank you for listening again to Gloria Keith with Action Speaks. May God bless you.
We hope you're enjoying